In the labyrinth of human relationships, there exists a silent force that guides our choices, often without our conscious awareness. Many women, despite desiring change, find themselves repeatedly drawn to the same type of man. Men who, at their core, reflect the unresolved echoes of past experiences. This pattern, though unseen, is rooted deep within the psyche, shaped by our past wounds, desires for validation, and the comfort of familiarity. We seek what we know, even when it brings us pain. But the true question is, why? Why do we choose the same paths, even when the destination leads us to discontent? The answer lies not in the external world, but in the invisible patterns we have woven for ourselves. It is only by turning inward, by mastering our own minds, that we can break free from the cycles that bind us. The cycle of attraction and the patterns we create. In the grand tapestry of life, we are all influenced by forces beyond our immediate comprehension, and the patterns we form in our relationships are no exception. These patterns are not merely coincidences or random acts of fate. They are the results of years, sometimes lifetimes, of deeply ingrained beliefs and subconscious conditioning. As human beings, we are creatures of habit, and what we choose to surround ourselves with, whether consciously or unconsciously, is an extension of who we are in that very moment. We are creatures driven by our own mental frameworks, the unseen architecture that guides our choices. There are invisible strings that tie us to our past, shaping the ways we view love, connection, and affection. When a woman finds herself repeatedly drawn to the same type of man, there is a silent force at play, an internal mechanism that compels her towards what she knows best. This force is not about attraction alone. It is about familiarity, about seeking what is comfortable, what feels safe, even if that safety comes with its own burden. It is the quiet whisper of our previous experiences, our childhood, our past relationships, telling us that this is what we deserve, what we know, what we can handle. But the patterns we create are not built in a vacuum. They are influenced by the beliefs and emotions we carry within us, often without realizing it. From an early age, many women are taught both directly and indirectly what kind of man is acceptable or ideal. These teachings can be a combination of societal standards, familial expectations, and personal experiences, all blending together into a single unified force. The patterns of attraction are not born out of a pure desire for love, but rather out of the unconscious search for what feels familiar, what feels like home, even when it is a home that has caused pain or suffering. Each time a woman chooses the same type of man, she is not choosing randomly. She is choosing a reflection of herself in that moment, her needs, her wounds, her unhealed parts. Whether it's the need for validation, the longing for affection, or the desire to fix what has been broken in the past, the pattern remains. This cycle becomes deeply ingrained, forming a narrative that can be difficult to break free from. And each time the cycle repeats, it strengthens its hold, making it more difficult to see beyond the familiar, even when it no longer serves her. The cycle of attraction is not about the other person, but about the internal world of the one choosing. The man she attracts may embody qualities that reflect what she values or what she feels she is worthy of. In some cases, it may even represent her attempt to heal the unresolved parts of herself through someone else. But healing does not come through the external world. True healing, true transformation, can only come through mastery of the self, by changing the way we think, feel, and perceive the world around us. If we are to break free from these patterns, we must first acknowledge their existence. We must face the uncomfortable truths about why we make the choices we do, and understand that it is not a matter of fate or chance, but a matter of our own perceptions, beliefs, and desires. By recognizing these patterns, we can begin the journey of reclaiming control over our choices and ultimately over our lives. This journey, though challenging, is one of immense power. It is in understanding the cycle that we can break it, and in breaking it, we begin to rewrite the script of our lives. Understanding the subconscious forces that shape choices. We, as human beings, often live with the illusion that our decisions are made purely through rational thought, that we choose based on logic, reasoning, and objective analysis. But the truth is far more intricate and profound. Beneath the surface of every decision, there lies a hidden landscape, one that is shaped by years of experiences, past pains, unspoken desires, and deeply rooted beliefs. These are the subconscious forces that govern our actions, often without our awareness, and they are the silent architects of the patterns we repeat in our relationships. The mind in its complexity is like an ocean, vast and deep, filled with currents that we cannot see, but that move us all the same. Just as a small boat can be guided by the hidden flow of water beneath the surface, so too are we often directed by these unseen forces. These forces are not always born out of conscious thought or rational decision-making. They arise from the core of who we are, the sum of our past experiences, the influences of our upbringing, the emotional imprints left by those who have shaped our lives. Consider the role of our childhood, the first relationships we encounter in life. Those with our parents, caregivers, and early mentors leave deep imprints on our psyche. These early interactions often form the blueprint for how we will later perceive love, affection, and connection. If, for instance, a woman grew up in an environment where love was conditional or unpredictable, she may find herself subconsciously drawn to men who mirror these dynamics. She may seek the comfort of chaos, even if that chaos brings pain, because on some level it feels familiar. It's what she has known. It's what she believes love looks like. These subconscious forces are not limited to childhood. They extend into every relationship we encounter. Each interaction leaves a trace, an imprint that shapes our perceptions. Perhaps a woman finds herself drawn to a man who reflects the same qualities of a previous partner who hurt her, not because she desires pain, but because she has not fully processed the emotional scars from that past. The desire to fix the past, to rewrite a chapter that was never fully healed, becomes an invisible compass guiding her choices. The subconscious mind seeks to reconcile what has been broken, often without us even realizing it. Moreover, the media and societal expectations play an undeniable role in shaping our perceptions of relationships. From a young age, we are exposed to idealized portrayals of love, whether in books, movies, or advertisements, that promote a narrow definition of what love and relationships should look like. These external forces can easily seep into the subconscious, distorting our beliefs about ourselves and what we deserve in a partner. We may internalize these ideals, seeking a love that aligns with these external projections, not realizing that the love we seek is not a reflection of who we truly are, but of what society tells us we should want. In understanding these subconscious forces, we are not powerless. The first step is awareness. Awareness is the key that unlocks the door to understanding our patterns and the hidden drivers of our choices. By recognizing the forces at play, we begin to see the invisible strings that guide our decisions, and in seeing them, we gain the power to alter the course. We can consciously choose to unearth the beliefs that no longer serve us and replace them with ones that align with our true selves, not the version that has been shaped by others. But awareness alone is not enough. True change requires introspection, a deep dive into the recesses of the mind where the painful, unresolved emotions reside. It requires a willingness to confront the past, to examine the wounds that may still be tender and open. It is in this confrontation, this courageous willingness to face the truth, that true freedom lies. We must become the masters of our minds, not the servants of our subconscious impulses. Only through this understanding of the subconscious forces can we begin to break the cycle of repeating the same patterns. When we learn to see beyond the illusions created by the past and the external world, we can start to make choices from a place of clarity and true self-awareness. In doing so, we gain the power to shape our relationships consciously, to choose partners who reflect our true desires, not our unresolved pains. This is the path to mastery, the path to freedom, and the path to true, unshakable love. Repeating the past. How unhealed wounds influence decisions. The human spirit, though resilient, is fragile in its own right. We are all shaped by the experiences we endure, and within us there are scars, some deep, some faint, etched by the trials of life. These wounds, though invisible to the naked eye, have an immense power over us. They do not simply fade with time, they remain, quietly influencing our actions, thoughts, and most crucially, our decisions. It is not uncommon for a person to repeat the same patterns in relationships, finding themselves drawn to the same type of partner or facing similar emotional struggles, because the wounds they carry have not been fully healed. This repetition is not by accident, nor is it a flaw of character. It is an unconscious attempt to resolve what remains unresolved, to seek closure for what was left open and aching. The soul, in its deepest desire for healing, may subconsciously return to the same dynamics that reflect past pain, because it believes that in facing these patterns once more, it can gain the closure it seeks. This cycle, though well-intentioned, often leads to more suffering. The unhealed wounds are not ready to be healed by simply reliving them. Rather, they require acknowledgement, understanding, and release. A woman who continually chooses the same type of man, perhaps one who is emotionally unavailable, distant, or even abusive, may be unknowingly trying to heal the wounds left by a past relationship or childhood experience. If she was once abandoned by a father figure, or if her first love was fleeting and filled with pain, her subconscious mind may attract partners who mirror this dynamic. This is not a conscious choice. It is the mind's attempt to rewrite the story, to seek a different outcome in the hopes of bringing closure to an unresolved chapter of life. Yet, in doing so, the cycle repeats itself, often with even greater emotional toll. The mind, in its quest for healing, believes that by recreating familiar situations, it can control the outcome. It may draw her to a partner who seems similar to the ones she has encountered before, hoping that this time things will be different. But until those wounds are addressed and healed, the pattern will continue. It is only by truly confronting the emotional scars, by fully acknowledging the past and embracing the pain that comes with it, that the cycle can be broken. Healing begins not with ignoring or suppressing these wounds, but with facing them with courage and clarity. It requires self-awareness, the understanding that the pain of the past does not define who we are today. It requires the ability to stand apart from the emotions and beliefs that were formed during the painful moments of our lives and recognize that we are no longer bound to those experiences. The woman who continually repeats the past must come to realize that the partner she attracts is not a reflection of who she is now, but a reflection of who she was when the wound was first created. This realization is the first step toward true freedom. It is not enough to simply wish away the pain or to hope that time will heal the wounds. Time alone does not heal. Only conscious action and introspection can lead to true healing. This process involves confronting the emotional remnants of the past with honesty, breaking down the walls we have built to protect ourselves from pain, and opening ourselves to the possibility of new, healthier relationships. The healing journey is not easy, and it is not quick. It is a path that requires patience, self-compassion, and unwavering commitment to self-awareness, but it is the only path that leads to freedom from the cycle of repetition. When a woman chooses to heal her wounds rather than hide them, she no longer attracts partners who mirror her pain. Instead, she opens herself to the possibility of attracting partners who reflect her true self, strong, whole, and unburdened by the past. True healing comes when we no longer seek to fix the past, but when we release it and allow ourselves to move forward. Only then can we break free from the invisible chains that bind us to the past, and only then can we choose from a place of strength, not from the wounds that once defined us. The path of healing is one of immense power, for in healing our wounds we discover the strength to choose differently, to choose wisely, and to choose love that is rooted in the truth of who we are, not in the remnants of who we once were. The comfort of the familiar, why we return to what we know. Human beings in their essence seek comfort. This is not a weakness, nor is it something to be ashamed of. It is simply part of our nature. We are creatures who are inherently drawn to the known, to what feels familiar, to what we have experienced before. This desire for comfort is not just about physical warmth or security. It goes far deeper. It is a psychological need, a yearning to find stability in a world that can often feel unpredictable and chaotic. But there lies a deeper truth within this desire. We often find ourselves returning to what is familiar, even when that familiarity brings us pain. In relationships, this manifests as a tendency to choose partners who reflect the past, partners who embody the same qualities, good or bad, of those we have been with before. The reasons for this are complex, but they are deeply rooted in the mind's desire to find predictability, even if it means sacrificing growth or true happiness. The mind believes that what is known is safe. It believes that returning to the past, whether that is through a similar type of person or a repeating pattern, will offer a sense of control, a way to navigate the emotional storms that may arise. Even when the familiar causes discomfort, there is a strange sense of security in it. This tendency is not limited to romantic relationships. It permeates every aspect of life. We choose the same type of job, the same type of friends, and even the same type of environment because the mind craves the predictability of the known. The mind, when faced with the unknown, becomes uncertain, uneasy, and hesitant. This is the paradox. We often choose what hurts us because it is what we know. It is easier to face what is familiar, even if it brings pain, than to venture into the unfamiliar, where growth and true change lie. This attachment to the familiar comes from the mind's deep-seated fear of uncertainty. The unfamiliar is an unknown territory, a place where there are no guarantees, where the outcome is not assured. It is a space where we might fail, where we might be rejected, where we might encounter more pain. So, in the face of this fear, the mind clings to what it knows, believing that it can handle the pain it has already endured. It convinces itself that this is safer than stepping into the unknown. But true growth, true transformation, lies precisely in the unknown. It is in stepping beyond the familiar, beyond the boundaries of what we know, that we encounter the opportunities for change. This does not mean that the unknown is without its challenges or discomforts. It simply means that in the unfamiliar there is potential for something better, something more aligned with the person we are becoming. Growth is never comfortable, and it rarely comes in a form we recognize immediately. But it is the discomfort of growth that allows us to shed old patterns and create new ones. The mind's attachment to the familiar is also rooted in the unconscious desire for validation. If we keep choosing the same type of person, the same type of relationship, we are not only seeking comfort, but we are also seeking validation of our own worth. We choose what feels familiar because it is what we feel we deserve, and we unconsciously repeat these patterns to prove to ourselves that we are worthy of love, attention, or affection, even if it is not healthy. This is why it is so important to examine what we truly deserve, because we often repeat patterns that reflect a version of ourselves that we no longer need to be. Breaking free from the comfort of the familiar requires an unwavering commitment to self-awareness. It requires a willingness to confront the discomfort of the unknown, to step outside of the self-imposed boundaries we have set for ourselves. It requires the courage to choose differently, even when it feels unnatural. But it is in this choice, this courageous step into the unknown, that true freedom is found. The familiar will always beckon, but it is only through embracing the unfamiliar, through choosing growth over comfort, that we can transcend the patterns that keep us stagnant. The path to transformation is not one that is easy to walk, but it is a path that is necessary if we are to break free from the cycles that bind us. When we learn to step away from the comfort of the familiar and into the space of the unknown, we are making a powerful statement. We are choosing change, we are choosing growth, and we are choosing the person we are destined to become. The familiar may offer us a sense of safety, but it is the unknown that holds the key to our future. Breaking free from toxic comfort zones. The concept of comfort zones is a deceptive one. On the surface, they appear to offer safety, a place where we can rest, recharge, and exist without the constant turmoil of external chaos. But underneath the seemingly soothing layers, comfort zones can become prisons of stagnation. The mind, in its quest for security, often convinces us to stay in these zones, to remain within the confines of what we know, because the unknown is too threatening, too uncertain. Yet, it is within these very comfort zones that we often find the seeds of our own suffering, for they keep us tied to the past, preventing growth, change, and the possibility of a life more aligned with our true desires. When a woman finds herself repeatedly choosing the same type of man, she is often unknowingly trapped within a toxic comfort zone. She may tell herself that she is looking for love, affection, or connection, but what she is truly seeking is the safety of the known. The same type of man may represent a familiar emotional landscape, one that she has learned to navigate, even if it is unhealthy. The mind, in its fear of the unknown, finds comfort in patterns. even those that lead to pain. This is the cruel paradox. The very thing that causes us discomfort becomes the thing we return to because we believe it is the safest place to be. These comfort zones are toxic because they limit us. They hold us back from discovering who we are meant to become, from embracing the fullness of life, from engaging with the world in a way that is authentic and true. They are rooted in fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of the unfamiliar. But the truth is, it is in facing these fears head-on, in choosing discomfort over safety, that we can begin to break free from the patterns that limit our growth. Breaking free from these toxic comfort zones requires courage. It is not enough to simply recognize that we are trapped. We must also take action, step outside the boundaries we have set for ourselves, and venture into the unknown. The discomfort of growth is not easy to face, but it is the only path that leads to true transformation. It requires a willingness to confront our fears, to face the discomfort of vulnerability, to risk rejection, and to open ourselves up to new possibilities, even when it feels like stepping into darkness. The process of breaking free begins with self-awareness. We must first acknowledge the limitations of our comfort zones, the patterns that keep us stuck, the beliefs that no longer serve us, and the behaviors that continue to bring us pain. Self-awareness allows us to see beyond the illusion of safety, to recognize that staying within our comfort zones is not protecting us, but holding us captive. Once we can see this, we can begin the work of dismantling the walls we have built around ourselves. The next step is to challenge the beliefs that keep us anchored in these zones. We must ask ourselves difficult questions. Why do we continue to choose what harms us? Why do we stay in relationships that drain us, that bring us no true fulfillment? The answers may be uncomfortable, but they are necessary. In facing the truth of our own choices, we gain the clarity needed to make better decisions moving forward. We must learn to trust that stepping into the unknown will lead us to something better, even if it takes time. Breaking free from toxic comfort zones also requires resilience. The path will not be easy. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, and temptations to return to what feels familiar. But resilience is built through repetition. Each time we face the discomfort of growth and choose to keep moving forward, we strengthen our ability to endure. We begin to trust ourselves, knowing that we have the power to navigate the unknown, to face the discomfort, and to emerge stronger for it. As we step outside of our comfort zones, we also begin to open ourselves to new relationships, new experiences, and new ways of being. The unknown may seem daunting at first, but it is in this space that we find our true potential. It is where we discover our strength, our capacity for love, and our ability to create a life that is authentic and fulfilling. The key to breaking free is not to resist the discomfort, but to embrace it as a necessary part of the journey. True freedom comes not from staying in what is familiar, but from venturing into the unknown with courage and conviction. It is in this space that we find ourselves, where we become the people we are meant to be, free from the toxic comfort zones that once held us back. In breaking free, we embrace the fullness of life, the vast possibilities that lie beyond the limitations we once believed were insurmountable. The comfort zone may feel safe, but it is only in stepping beyond it that we truly live.